Hi Lisa, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Marshall. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really happy to be here at Emmanuel for the meal as usual, and it looks like we might be doing some art stuff.
Some art stuff's coming up today, yeah, and sloppy joes for lunch.
Oh yes, I'm gonna stay for that. Hopefully there's seconds. So tell me about yourself, and then we'll kind of get a little deeper into this.
So my name is Lisa Laughlin, and I am an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ, and I work for two homeless churches organizations. One is in Cambridge. It's called the Outdoor Church of Cambridge, and it was birthed out of this organization where you are today, called Common Cathedral. I also work for Common Cathedral. I'm associate minister and chaplain. And what I do every day is just try to meet people where they are, be in conversation with them. I do have a collar on, so my hope is that through that conversation, sometimes we can talk about things that other outreach people don't talk about with them. We sometimes give resources and things like that, but there's plenty of organizations that do them, but not a lot of people out on the street who say, like, how can I pray for you today? What would you like to pray for? Where have you seen God this week? So that's pretty much what I think that God wants me to do, what my calling is to do. And the other things that I do, more transactional, are okay. But in general, I feel like my job is to just meet people where they are and tell them that it's okay. It doesn't matter to me what they did on the worst day of their life. I don't judge them by that, and hopefully they don't judge me. Yeah.
So, like, one thing I've noticed is like you're very passionate about this work. You really care for the people. What do you think about like resources? One thing that I've noticed is the churches provide a lot of support to the people out in the street. They have clothes. We have the meals. I've been going to the meals. And one thing I do like about the churches is it's more of a community feel. I feel like I'm part of a community, whereas like some of the state stuff is like kind of institution-y, like like they got like the trays like you have in prison, and the workers might not care so much. So, like, what do you feel about like for the people out here? Because you see them coming and going. What do you feel are like the best resources and the best ways to help the people out here?
I think what people need is somewhere where they could store things is a huge need in the homeless community. A lot of my thought process when I see people carrying their whole life belongings on their back, which sometimes looks like junk to me, but is important to them and sacred to them, to see them carrying that, or to know that they can't go to certain things, doctor's appointments maybe, they can't run errands the way that I can run an errand because they have to bring all these things with them. And it's hard to carry all these things on T, or if they were to get a ride by somebody, they don't want them to put all their things in their car. So I think a resource needed in the city is some type of storage, unless we want to spend lots of money and work on mental health issues of hoarding in the homeless community, which is a deeper problem and would really be probably better for humanity. And then bathrooms are a concern, being able to find bathrooms, especially in the Copley Square area. There's not a lot of bathrooms. The library, when it's open, has bathrooms, and Back Bay Station has bathrooms. But some in the city of Cambridge, there's nice portable loos, which don't look too much like porta potties, and those might be nice for the city to invest in some way or better ways for people to be able to keep up with their hygiene and meet the basic needs of being able to use a restroom.
Okay. How did you get into this work, like working with homeless?
My home church in Winchester does a volunteer outreach with the Outdoor Church of Cambridge, and I started to do that, and I pretty much went anytime they called for volunteers. And then I got to know the ministers there, and they would once in a while call me when somebody needed a day off to kind of come in and work. And I couldn't stop taking home the stories of the people that I met on the street. I spent a lot of time in prayer after seeing somebody, with a huge laceration on their leg for 3 weeks in a row and like still refusing medical care, and trying to figure out why people make the choices that they make and how they ended up in such dire straits. And that just weighed on my heart, and I just talked about it a lot with people, and then felt that God wanted me to go to seminary. I went to seminary, and while I was in seminary, the Outdoor Church of Cambridge offered me a job upon completion of my Master's of Divinity. So I feel like God brought me here because it was all related through different churches.
That's beautiful, and I can attest to, thinking, seeing things out here, doing outreach out here when I was working addiction work, and then being out here and seeing like the suffering, and it really does, it affects anybody, I would say. And being able to live out here and see that these resources exist for people has been really refreshing. And I think, like going forward, and like a lot of the viewers, people that are watching, I guess like what their curiosity is like what people think that I should be doing or investing my time in and looking into a little bit deeper. What do you think I should be focusing on to help people?
Well, I think just the little work I saw you do here around addiction, because two huge issues in the homeless community is mental health and addiction, and a lot of people are duly diagnosed and have both problems. And so dealing with addiction, sometimes like you did the other day, able to get somebody somewhere where they can live, where they can go for a little while, then there's a hope that they can get on a path to a halfway house and different places and get housing that way. And also, hopefully, if they're dealing with addictions, they'll start to feel better about themselves maybe and be able to advocate better for themselves, because there are a lot of services in Boston. Like we say a lot, like nobody's gonna starve in the city of Boston. There's food everywhere. You just have to go and get it. But the housing is not so easily come by, so people do have to do a little bit more footwork, and sometimes that can be daunting and overwhelming, and for people who don't think that they're worth anything, it's hard for them to ask people to help them do things that they can't do. People who don't think that they're smart, think they can't fill out paperwork, can't get on a computer and fill out the right paperwork. People who don't have watches and cell phones can't get to appointments on time. So I think that if we dealt with addictions and some mental health issues for people, we could help them overcome like what for us might be a little obstacle can sometimes for them be a huge hurdle.
Okay, that's really insightful. I've been thinking about that myself. I've seen different caseworkers and people that offer mental health services and other services at some of the breakfast or lunch. Not a lot, but I've seen a few. And so you would be saying like maybe even more of like mobile workers that go out and like connect with people right out in the street and build rapport with them right out there, kind of like the meeting them where they're at type of thing.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that builds trust. And when you do that consistently, like folks on the street know what days health care for the homeless are going to come visit them, because they tell them, okay, we're going to come back on Thursday, and they actually show up. And so a big part of in the community sometimes is this idea of trust. Can we trust these people? Why should I tell them all my information? Why should I go through my whole story again? Because they're not going to show up. They're not going to come back and help the way they said they were going to help. So when we meet people on the street, I think that like people, they can't get away. They're right there. And so they kind of think like, okay, what the heck? I'll talk to this person. I didn't have to make any effort. I'll talk to this person. And then when I see people on the street and they've had a conversation about housing or with a caseworker, all of a sudden they have a caseworker, somebody in their corner, they're very proud, really happy, really excited and grateful. So I think, the people who do street outreach are really important.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question. I appreciate your time, and I know you're busy. I know we got a lot going on up there. And I'm looking forward to hanging out and having some coffee and discussion myself. And, you can choose to answer this or not. Like, this is something that's really been, like, impacting me a lot, and I've had my viewpoints on it, but I'm curious to ask you, how do you feel about people just kind of, like, using drugs in the street and kind of being allowed to use drugs out in the street, like dangerous drugs like fentanyl and things of that nature?
I think I don't have any feeling about the person who's doing it, because addiction is a really powerful thing, and I believe that people are powerless over drugs and alcohol. Once you know that there are some people that once they ingest drugs and alcohol, it sets off all kinds of compulsions and obsessions and physical needs for more. And so I don't judge people on the street for doing that, for needing to do that wherever they are. And I think that the idea of these safe spaces where folks can use drugs safely is a good idea. Whether it's totally working or not, it doesn't always seem to be. But I don't know a whole lot about that. But I'm not against, you know, fentanyl test strips and other things that are out in the community that can help people if they, you know, want to test the drugs before they take them. There are some people who want to take fentanyl, and there are some people who don't. So I'm not against any of that. I don't find it to be enabling. All those people that are trying to help are powerless over drugs and alcohol, and all those people who voice an opinion that we are enabling, they're powerless over drugs and alcohol too. So I'm not sure. I think it's the lesser of two evils, I guess.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for sitting down and sharing some of your thoughts. You are an amazing person. I see the work that you do, and it's encouraging. You know, I see things that are upsetting, but I see things that are beautiful and encouraging, and you definitely are a shining light. So, Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marshall.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.